Today I watched Bride of Frankenstein, which is the classic Universal horror film sequel to the original Frankenstein. Boris Karloff, black and white, crazy old lady screaming really loud, the whole 9 yards. My initial reaction to this movie was I felt like I was watching Mel Brooks' Young Frankenstein again, because it felt kind of like a parody of itself. Like I said, the woman whose name is escaping me, just has so many close-up shots of her just screaming as soon as the monster appears, and the things that, if they weren't taken so seriously by the movie, would be almost humorous. And I think part of that comes with the age of the film. It's 80 years old now, which is crazy. But another part of that is, I've always felt this way about horror movies, is that horror movies are always just one step away from comedy. And that's why the first couple scary movies worked so well. Is that all they had to do was take exactly what's happening in the horror movie, but do it with a slightly different tone. And it's hilarious. And you can ask Cody, when I was in college, I started collecting the old Friday the 13th movies. And I would watch them not as horror movies, but as comedies, because I just thought some of the situations were so absurd and laughable that I got enjoyment out of laughing at horror, and I still do for most horror movies. There's not many I can think of that have actually scared me. The Ring is the only one that comes to mind right now.
Cabin in the Woods. Not that it scared you, but...
Cabin in the Woods is one of my favorite movies because it blends that comedy with horror elements so well. Even at the end of that film, which censor all this for spoilers, like, it gets serious, but it's still hilarious, you know? Like, I've always felt that way about horror films. Maybe that's just me, maybe that's just how I cope with being afraid. I laugh at things, but I think with the similarities between this film and Young Frankenstein, how Airplane was almost like word for word Airport 1977, which is a film I haven't seen, but Airplane is a classic. But I've heard that they're like, the scripts are the same. And like the scary movies, like I never had to watch some of those like late 90s, early 2000s scary movies because the scary movies were coming out and you just watch those instead. And you get the plot, but you also get humor out of it. And I'm not suggesting watch Young Frankenstein instead of Bride of Frankenstein, because it was a very good movie, especially for the time. The scenery and the visual aspects of the film were gorgeous. Absolutely stunning. It was that perfect blend of like giant lavish sets, but like everything's kind of a little askew and gives you a sense of unease. Like, it's just gorgeous sets, and Boris Karloff is fantastic. The rest of it felt kind of like overacting and campy, but I think that comes with age and the genre. Yeah, that's all I really got to say about that one. Tomorrow I'm looking at Broken Blossoms, which I believe is a silent film era film. Yeah, like, share, subscribe, comment below, suggest a movie for me to watch. I'll see you tomorrow.